What is up, guys? So if you watched the last video, you know that I recently tore my rotator cuff. We were waiting on an MRI to see the extent of it. And I told you guys I was going to be really transparent with you and share how I'm going to get back to working out, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to choose my exercises to work around this stuff. And today, that is what we were doing. So first things first, what happened? This all started actually about 9 to 10 months ago. Powerlifting competition for the USAPL. I was on the bench press. Third attempt went poorly. Miscommunication with the spotters and myself. They grabbed it a little early. I wasn't expecting it. My shoulder came out of the joint. Now, I still went on to finish the deadlift. I still set 3 state records, did very well, very proud of it. Honestly, in retrospect, I should have made like a whole freaking video about that, but I was concentrating on my first USAPL meet at the time. But what that started was a series of issues where every month or so, or every couple of weeks towards the end here, my shoulder would dislocate. That became really freaking problematic, but I wasn't too concerned about it because I could still train. Turns out I should have been concerned about it. I was addressing it with my doctor at the time. We had set up some appointments, but there wasn't a sense of urgency. Earlier this week, Monday night, I believe, I was rolling over in my sleep apparently, and I finished tearing whatever it is that I started because I woke up in intense burning pain and I haven't been able to use my arm correctly since. So what do we do now? Well, we got a couple of options. We could do what I feel a lot of folks do is just stop all activity, rest up, try to completely heal before 6, 10, 8, 12 weeks from now, getting back to it and starting all over in your mind, having the anxiety the entire time that you've lost all of your gains and everything's going wrong.
But given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
It's not something that is particularly helpful. So we're going to do option 2, which is to get as mobile and active as possible without aggravating what's going on. And that is better for healing. That is better for maintaining what you've already built. That is better for your headspace. That is just better around overall. So today being our first workout after seriously aggravating whatever damage it is that I started back in November, we're going to figure out what I can do, what I can't do, and I'm going to show you how I make those decisions. First things first, we got to get rid of this thing. Oh, that's better. So while a device like this is important and you should use it, it has limited use. You want to be moving a limb that's hurt as much as you possibly can, as soon as you can. I use this when I'm driving or I'm doing daily tasks to make sure that I don't reach out with this arm and, hurt myself further. What I am unable to do is rotate my arm very far in this direction or raise it in this direction. I got a little bit of movement, but it stops dead right about there. So this has got me feeling hopeful that it's not a complete tear of the rotator cuff because I've still got some motion and movement. It's also going to allow me to do a variety of exercises to find things where I can still work this area of the body without making it worse. Now, am I going to be able to squat? Hell no. There's no way that I'm going to be able to get that arm up. I can't even lift it up into position. But today has squats first and foremost. So what do we do? Well, we use a variation. So as I point out in basically every program that I write, there's no such thing as a sacred movement. And a lot of these movements have significant overlap, particularly in the context of hypertrophy and bodybuilding. As long as we are challenging the muscle through a range of motion that is similar to the exercise that we want, it's probably a good enough replacement. This, however, isn't going to give me what I want today because I'm aiming for about 12 to 15 difficult reps. Now, I could use a kettlebell or a heavy dumbbell, but I don't want to try the goblet squat variation today. So what we're going to do instead, dagnabbit, where's that damn thing? Aha! Success. So what I've done is I've got a variation here that'll allow me to go through a pretty good range of motion. Not the best. Weights are a little tall. Without loading my shoulders up at all. I'm using the wedges so that we're focusing on my quads. I'm using a nice slow controlled eccentric to make sure we're getting the maximum amount of tension out of it. Ooh, and I'm using enough weight to be pretty challenging. Ooh, super speed mode. Now, more important than hitting 12 or 15 reps is getting really, really close to failure. What we're trying to do here on the 6-day version of the program is take 2 sets to as close to failure as possible without hurting ourselves. So a lot of you might be thinking, that's a lot of reps, or that's not very much weight for somebody who can squat 540. And you're correct, but you're still going to build muscle. All of the literature out there, all of the meta-analysis, all of the research indicates that you can build muscle size and strength at anywhere from 3 to 30 repetitions, right? What is important is, are you accumulating enough tension with the given weight over those reps? Are you accumulating enough stimulus? And yeah, if you take one of these sets to failure, you're absolutely accruing enough stimulus. It burns. It burns. But that's actually kind of amazing if you think about it, because that allows us to take advantage of the massive variety of exercise variations that there is. Ooh, don't like doing 12 to 15 reps? Don't. Go a little bit heavier. Do 8 to 10. But as long as it's a challenging set, bringing you to very close proximity to failure, you're going to make as much progress as you can. Oh, that burns. This is what happens when you try No Nut November. It's not worth it, boys. Get some relief. Whew, already out of breath. And if you're doing sets really close to failure, you're going to be out of breath just after the first exercise. Our next major exercise, we start with the heavy compounds first, and then we go down to isolation movements. We have the bench press. As much as I would love to do the bench press today, I've done some preliminary testing. I'm not going to be able to handle any amount of weight that I wouldn't be able to do for like 50 reps. So it's not really ideal. I'm normally doing about 225 for a set of 12 to 15 with a nice slow 2 to 3 second eccentric. If I'm feeling considerably better by Wednesday, or Tuesday, I think it is this week, we'll go ahead and we'll try the overhead press, where I previously was doing maybe 185 for 6 to 8 with that nice slow eccentric, but I'll probably try something closer to 95 or 135 pounds at the most. But after some testing, we have an option that's going to get us some stimulus today. And some stimulus, something is better than nothing. So here we go. So when we're looking for the exercise that we're going to do that we can within our boundaries, it's important to remember, what's the muscle supposed to do? The pec is about adduction of the humerus towards the center of the body. Yes, it helps us push, but by bringing our humerus across our body. So being careful not to put undue pressure on that bad arm, I have found that I can do this variation. My humerus is not rotating. I'm not experiencing any pain in my shoulder. And because this is a very difficult move mechanically, I'm getting a lot of tension in my pec. This one across the body, with sufficient weight, you're gonna get a hell of a pump. And if a pump is all I can get right now, and a tired ass titty, that's what I'm gonna do. Just be careful when you're engaging and disengaging from an exercise, not to let that injured limb kind of flop like I did just there, because I felt a little bit of a twinge. Nearly as important as knowing what you can and cannot do and staying within those boundaries is also knowing when to stop. So my arm is a bit on fire, and as soon as I started to do the second to last exercise, which was the walking lunges, I got through one set before I realized, hey, I'm starting to add to the problem. And it's okay, especially if you're doing like a 6-day program like I am right now, and there's going to be 5 other opportunities here. It's perfectly okay to say, okay, I got some stimulus in, enough was enough. Be satisfied with that. Be proud of what you did. Because progress, especially when you're injured, is a game of inches. It's about making incremental progress, not allowing yourself to take steps backwards. And even if you can only take tiny steps forward, doing that consistently when you can. Do what you can, when you can, every time that you can, without giving yourself any crap for what you legitimately cannot do. It is as simple as that. Simple, but not easy. And so folks might be wondering, well, what do I do if it hurts all the time? Sometimes that's just what it is. The guide that I use is what I am doing right now making it feel worse? If the answer is no, then it's probably not doing any harm. Now, obviously, you should listen to your doctor and do what they say you can and cannot do. I am not a doctor, but this is my experience with working around and overcoming injuries, and I've had a lot of success with it. And I stand by it. It works for me, and it's worked for a lot of the people that I've worked with in the past. So don't give up on yourself. You may have a serious injury. It may be holding you back. A couple of years ago, I had a massive inguinal hernia. I had to have it repaired after 8 months of it going completely untreated because of the pandemic. And I was working out again within the next 2 weeks. All right, I was deadlifting. I was doing what I could when I could, right? Your body is capable of so much more than you get credit for. And if you're just willing to honestly assess the real extent to what something is going to do to hold you back, then you can work around it all day long. You've got this. You really do. So I hope you guys find that helpful. I hope it arms you with some strategies that you can use to work with, around, or through injuries so that you can continue to make progress. You can continue to keep what you have, stay motivated, feel good in your headspace, feel good about your body. So if you liked the video, they got a button for that. If you didn't like it, they got a button for that too. Either way, let me know about it in the comment section below. If you want some deals, check out the links in my description. You can get 10% off a bunch of different stuff. Helps me out, helps you out. If you want to talk to me about coaching or possibly becoming one of my athletes, hit me up at my email. You guys know where to find me. I appreciate y'all. And until I see you guys in the next video, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and find a little time to go fit yourself.